Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of The Wise Build Bridges. The Wise Build Bridges is a podcast sponsored by Viaduct Generation. We believe that in uncertain times, the wise build bridges. They share ideas, build connections, and help others grow. And on today's episode, helping us grow is Kristina Korza. Kristina, welcome to the podcast.
Hiya, nice to meet you.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much for taking the time to be here. So I have a little bit of a background into who you are, but please, for those that aren't as lucky, tell us, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis and who do you do it for, Kristina?
Hi, so I'm Kristina Korza. I'm the marketing manager over at EMT Healthcare. Our primary business is basically providing dispensing consumables to pharmacies right across the UK. So when you're going to collect your prescriptions and those little bags and the bottles, we're the people that supply them. So yeah, that's us.
And Kristina, you've had quite a journey to get to where you are today. What do you think has been maybe some of the more pivotal things that you've learned in your career thus far that have got you to this weird and wonderful position?
Oh, pivotal moments. There has been so many, and I think that's got to be the journey of most marketers, right? I started not in marketing at all, and then kind of landed in there doing kind of email marketing and content. I think the main things that have shaped it is just working in different industries, getting to speak to customers. The most important thing is the customer and actually understanding what they want and then creating that into content. I think content has always been a bit of a niche for me. Just creating these opportunities for them to learn and create thought leadership. So I think having quite a speckled career across sales and marketing has kind of shaped me who I am today.
Do you think that experience of having both sales and marketing kind of creates a bit more of a holistic marketeer? As opposed to maybe someone who's just a purebred marketing, maybe they're a specialist like us in SEO. I was in SEO and SEO only for years and years and years. Maybe I struggle to see the wider picture, and maybe that's what makes you such a successful marketing manager.
Well, thanks for that compliment. I'll take that. So I think having a sales background definitely helps. You're getting to speak to customers all the time. You're getting to see you're at the sharp end. And I think many marketing teams, I've been to many conferences where they have sales enablement, they have sales and marketing at loggerheads, or they're totally apart from each other. I really get a sales team. I get their challenges. I know how hard it is to be in sales, and I know what they're looking for from their marketers, and they're looking for them to support them to convert their leads. But equally, sales has got to understand it's all about the customer. It isn't just about making sales. You'll make your sales if you understand your customer. And that's where marketing with insight and data and knowledge and understanding enables you to close your business. Yeah, I definitely think it's an absolutely foundation of my career, definitely.
So you mentioned a few times in there about understanding your customer, both from a sales and a marketing perspective. How do we better understand our customer in today's day and age?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because customers have evolved the way, which sounds crazy because people are people, but the way we shop has changed so much. The way we do business has changed. You know, the digital world didn't exist. I'm going to sound really old when I say this, old school marketer here, but the digital marketing hemisphere wasn't a thing when I started marketing. Email marketing was just becoming, was ramping up. But the reality is that we consume information in so many different ways, the way we like to be talked to, the way we want to engage information, the way we want to shop. So it's really difficult, I think, for many marketers to get their heads around that. But that's why spending time with your customers, creating buyer personas, really understanding who your customer is, looking at the trends and the data is more important than anything else you can do, I think.
I completely agree. I feel that in today's day and age where things are changing on such a consistent basis, making sure that we steer clear to the practices and the habits of our buying persona and try and genuinely provide value to that ICP is where marketing truly exists, whether that's value now or value in the future. The importance is about, I think, almost improving buyability. No one really wants to be sold to. However, there are a few things in marketing that haven't changed. People still buy from people, and ultimately continuing that human connection is, I think, really important. Then salespeople maintain that human connection in today's digital age. And I guess maybe what things, if so many things have changed, what things haven't?
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, haven't you, with people buy from people. I think people are seeking true authenticity. They want to know that the person I'm speaking to is genuinely from the business that I'm looking to purchase from, and you're not here to rip me off. And like you said, you've mentioned adding value. How can you add value to that person? And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in the same room to have that same connection. But what you can be doing is talking about things that really resonate with your customer, that they can say, yeah, I agree with that. I buy into that. Actually, I want to know more. Tell me more about that. And layering that value journey for your customer so that they get the opportunity to learn from you. But for you to have a human to human connection, you've got to be open to learning from them and ask them questions and getting some feedback. And I think this is where Trustpilot and such types of review kind of websites and things that are available now are so important, because people want to be heard. Give your customers an opportunity to be heard as well. And I think that's where that human connection can come through, even if it is through Trustpilot or a poll on LinkedIn. These are all ways that we can connect better with our audiences.
I love that. I love that. Give your customers an opportunity to be heard. And then I guess really listen to them, right? And really try and adapt quickly to the way that the market is changing and the way that people want to be marketed to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bit of a curveball question for you, Kristina. Is AI going to take all of our jobs?
Oh gosh, is it? Don't you think that everybody's talking about AI at the minute? It's everywhere. I was at a conference about it the other week. I went to a really great conference, which was basically how to tell your boss to shut up about AI, which I thought it got me hooked, because I was kind of like, yeah, everyone's so obsessed by it. I think we've got to be smarter than that. I think we can't fear, it's the inevitable. We're all using it. AI has existed for such a long time. You know, we can look at it from Google Maps to ChatGPT to much more sophisticated agentic AI, which is kind of ramping up now. I think if we're sensible and we look at, as a business, what is our goal? What we're trying to do? What are things that are really taking a long time that actually, if I release that time for that person, what is their capacity and capability and their ingenuity and their entrepreneurialism? What will that release from them? I mean, one of the things that I have is scheduling content, for example. It takes flipping ages, but actually using tools like ChatGPT or many other tools that are out there enables you to get some of those boring tasks out of the way so that you can focus on the things that really matter. Just because ChatGPT can churn out more doesn't mean you should just chuck out more. It just means that you can make better decisions about what you would like to do and only create quality and deliver quality. So I think it's about knowing what your business wants to achieve rather than being fearful of it. We have to lean into it now.
I think you raise a really fantastic point. There's the saying that AI is not going to take your jobs, but people using AI might. And I think marketeers are some of the most adaptable people I've ever met. They've gone from naming their business A1 window cleaning to rank in the top pages of literally the yellow pages to now actually naming their business best window cleaning business Essex, so that they rank top for those high search terms on SEO. And the way that we're now going to have to adapt as consumer behavior moves from kind of Google search and transitions into some of the other channels. We're seeing Gen Z use TikTok a lot more, especially for local searches. I myself am guilty of popping pasta restaurants into the TikTok and finding some nice venues in Soho, as opposed to going via Google. I think the way that people shop is a bit more diversified, and making sure that we, as you say, stay clear to our ICP and our buying persona, and really giving our customer the chance to be heard is a key one. With things changing so rapidly and things kind of broadening out, how do marketing managers know what to focus on? They're already busy, they're already time poor, they already rely on agencies to get some of the work off their plate done. But with this, I sound like an AI already, in this ever-changing world of digital marketing, how do we keep our sanity?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I mean, apart from the trip to the pub on the Friday night and Saturday night, yeah. The reality is I think you have to stay organised for one, and actually coming back to the customer, it's all about if you just keep circling back to who is your customer and where do they live. Like you said, you like to use TikTok and other digital outlets to find a pasta restaurant. Where are your customers likely to find you? So that buyer persona and creating several buyer personas and really having them really clearly outlined is so important, because I think it's easy to just go, let's scattergun and do all of it, but do not many of it that justice. I think as a business, you start your marketing strategy thinking, right, this is what I'd like to achieve this year, but actually as our audience grows and maybe changes, let's start looking at all the different digital outlets. And I think you're right, you have to lean on agencies at times, you have to lean on other expertise. There's a real fallacy that you recruit a marketer into your business and they can do everything. They can do website, they can do content creation, they can do digital strategy, they can do your data analytics, but that one person doesn't really exist. I don't think I could do my job without leaning on expertise that I have to bring in at times to do my job. So I think that's you have to collaborate. I think this is a great podcast from the point of view of just looking at collaboration is absolutely fundamental to the success of any marketing team, and that can be internally and externally. You know, collaborating with my sales team or collaborating with you potentially. So I think that's got to be key to successfully being able to, get to all of your audience.
Of that so much. We have an African philosophy. I myself am from South Africa. Spent my entire childhood and the majority of my life in South Africa. And there's an African philosophy called Ubuntu. And Ubuntu essentially directly translates in English as I am because we are. And it's the acknowledgement of almost the stoic principles of the success that I've achieved or that you've achieved is not just due to Kristina's hard work and graft and naturally God-given talent, but actually it's due to the people that have shaped you and the people that have helped you and the salespeople that have pushed you and the CEO who saw something in you and someone else who took a risk on you. And those are the people who've kind of made you who you are. And I think there's a LinkedIn post there somewhere for me talking about how Ubuntu and collaborative marketing is there. But I think
I really like that.
Yeah, I think that's maybe a podcast in and of itself. But one thing you mentioned there is about like getting collaboration from internal and potentially external stakeholders, but like particularly let's talk a little bit about the internal side. How do we make new business kind of everyone's business?
Yeah, that is so much more important than I think a lot of people actually can believe. I think one of the biggest campaigns I think I've ever worked with was with DHL Freight. And obviously everybody knows the DHL brand. It's a huge global brand. We had sign off. We were doing really well. We were talking to the head office over in Germany, and it was just we were getting really excited about it. And we'd created a lot of noise about this kind of brand that we were doing. But the reality is we hadn't actually got the engagement properly on how the process of delivering what we were looking to deliver was going to work. We were told we had to kind of come up with this campaign, really to promote this product, but what hadn't really worked is the back end of that product. So when it went to market, and I know it's a marketing 101, you've got to have the right product, right price, right place, promotion, and all of those things. But the reality was that product wasn't quite ready or quite right. And that's not because the product wasn't right or ready. It was because the team weren't sure about how they were going to actually deliver it in the way that we had kind of collaborated with the German team on, but maybe not the internal team on. So although they bought into it and they were like, yeah, this is so exciting, we can't wait, we're going to talk to all our customers about it, it fell flat on its face. And even the most viral campaign or the most amazing thing you could have come up with, if you haven't chatted it through and really engaged, and when I say engaged, it's not just telling your team what's going to happen, it's getting them to be part of the process of building the campaign, it's going to fall flat on its face. And I think that is such a big lesson to learn. I don't think I've ever learned such a hard lesson as I did on that campaign. Yeah, so your internal stakeholders that are marketers also, make sure they are part of your marketing journey with you.
So, in order to build stakeholder engagement for the long run, get them involved early, let them shape the strategy, shape the processes, so that when it counts later down the line, when it's a very important board meeting, they are bought in. Is that the kind of the rough summary there?
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got to be a bit careful about having too many cooks. You know, you're building a strategy, but I do think it's really important that you have got you've taken time to understand, right, how does it work now? How do people perceive it to work? What would be the barriers to making it work? And I know a lot of product marketing managers go through this all the time. And like I said, there's so many different types of marketing, and sometimes you have to wear the hat of lots of roles you've never worn before. But if you can get something right, get those stakeholders, just get a little bit of toing and froing and get them to understand why you're doing what you're doing. I think it's just internal marketing is as important as the external marketing.
I heard someone describe the value in those internal conversations being less so in the boardroom and more in the passageway. And I thought that was really interesting, that it's not at the head of department meetings where you should be convincing head of finance and head of sales and head of operations as to why you should undergo this new SEO agency or this new TikTok campaign or this new out-of-home advertising campaign. But actually, it's in the day-to-days, the little moments in passing by, the "can I get you a coffee" moments. And a lot of that, I guess, is shaped by the emotional intelligence, not necessarily the kind of the traditional intelligence that others may allude to. Tell me about how you strike me as someone who's incredibly emotionally intelligent and who's quite good with people. What are some of the things that marketeers could do to better connect with their internal stakeholders?
I think you just have to be very visible and roll your sleeves up and not be afraid of maybe sometimes looking a bit silly. Definitely, I definitely wear my marketing hat like a crown. I'm the person in the building who wears the loudest clothes and the most colour and probably just make a goof of myself. I don't know, that's just maybe me. I do lean into it because we have a very diverse workforce. Most places I've been to is the same. And people can feel quite reserved or quite intimidated about speaking their truth about what they think. And I think it's just important just to like show up, just be at the company events, at the, you know, if you've got any exhibitions, being out at lunchtime. You know, we have a lunch hall, we encourage people to chat there. We have weekly meetings. I just think it is just showing up and being dead visible, championing maybe some of the social sides if you can. I'm a big advocate of just, I put all the information. We have a Teams channel and I just share everything. I'm taking photos. I'm saying, hey guys, what have you been up to? Because it's just, it's an important part of culture. And I think if you can be at the heart of that, you know, marketing isn't all about comms, but hey, let's face it, it's the heart of comms is sitting in marketing. So embrace it and just lead it, just be the front of it. Yeah, I think that's probably the best advice I've got.
No, that's really valuable. Now let me throw you a real curveball. How on earth do we do that in this digital, in remote first environment? It seems like you've got a real collectivism there at EMT. Sounds like there's a real like in-person relationship building going on. But for a lot of marketeers listening to this, they may be in the office twice a week, maybe 3 max for a lot of brands out there. Any tips on how they can do that from a remote perspective? Or are we doing like Google Meets team building activities, which just give me the ick?
Yeah, cringe. I think it brings COVID vibes, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm remote. I work 3 days a week in the office, 2 days at home, and the whole sales team is remote. So, you know, I'm not a stranger to that at all. So I have weekly meetings with the sales team. It's quite informal on a Friday morning. We talk about some of the stuff that's been happening. Then we just have a bit of chit chat. You know, what have you been up to? What's been going on? Or have you listened to this? You know, it's just human to human connection. Ask questions. As marketers, particularly as a marketer, you should be the most inquisitive person in your organization. You know, whether you're a data analyst, you know, a SEO champion, or it's all about being totally inquisitive. Just just push that out to your colleagues. If you're as inquisitive about what you do and what you specialize in as you are to the people you're talking to, you'll be winning. It's fine. I just think just seek to learn from the people that you're around, and soon people start to open up. We all like talking about ourselves, don't we? I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't like talking about myself. But yeah, it's true though, isn't it?
No, I really, really like that. That's really good. Thanks, Kristina. Let me take you back to the start of your career. If you could rewind time and you could whisper into Kristina's ear 10 years ago, what advice would you offer to her and maybe to marketeers that are earlier on in their journey so far?
Well, I would definitely be saying just follow your gut, just trust yourself. You know, everyone's going to wade in with an opinion, and it's good to listen to those opinions, but they're not the experts, unless it's obviously your manager or your coach or whoever it is. Maybe listen to them, but I think just listen to yourself. You know, you've chosen to go into this career, or you've fallen into it, which I did also. Be trust in yourself, because everybody has an opinion about marketing. You put something on social media and everybody's got an opinion on it, right? But not everybody knows your customer. Not everybody knows what you're trying to deliver. Not everybody knows your long-term strategy. Have faith in that. As long as the customer is in the heart of what you're trying to do, as long as you're putting your customer into the heart of this, obviously in a commercial way, trust yourself and back yourself. Definitely where I'd be leaning into.
Yes, no question. Are marketing degrees as valuable as they were 10 years ago?
Maybe not.
Go on.
Do I have to
Tell
say
me why.
No.
Yeah, go on. Tell me why.
It's not that I don't think they're valuable. I do think they're valuable, but there are so many fantastic forums for learning these days. I don't think it has to be a degree. I think there's lots of ways in which you can become a marketer without doing a marketing degree. You just need somebody to give you a break into it. You need somebody who's going to train you on the principles. But I think if you're commercially minded and you know you want to grow a business, I don't think you need a marketing degree. No, I don't have a marketing degree.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the value in this, again, I really am sounding like AI. Maybe AI is taking over our jobs, but in this ever-changing world, it takes enough time to be recognized as a valuable principle to then be, or strategy rather, to then be written down, peer reviewed, published, and then be put in the hands of students. I struggle to see how that isn't old news by the time that they're reading it in their textbooks. But I just thought that's interesting. Kristina, a lot of the people and the wonderful marketeers, and thank you so much for those that are listening, but a number of those marketeers that are listening sometimes feel a little bit challenged by the fact that they're not necessarily marketing the most sexiest thing in the world. Maybe, like me, they feel that they're in a saturated space. Anyone with a laptop and a LinkedIn profile could technically consider themselves an SEO. How the way that we do it is this, right? We try and connect with marketing managers. We promote our podcast through, and we try and build visibility through the podcast. And that's one channel that we've used as to kind of mark essentially a saturated space like SEO. But for those other things, those other marketeers who maybe are marketing something that they don't consider that sexy, what are some of the things that you would encourage that can kind of improve on the visibility in, as I'd say, saturated spaces?
If you're talking about not sexy products, we sell bottles and as you can see just there, I sell bottles and paper bags and boxes. No, it's not the sexiest product. I tell you what is though, is the sector that I work in, the people that work within it. And we keep having this conversation back to the customer and the person. It's all about them, and it's all about what you're trying to help them achieve. For us, our customers are community pharmacists. You know, they have a really difficult and challenging job to deliver healthcare out in every aspect of the community. Our little piece of the puzzle is to try to make their lives a bit easier by having the right product that will make their job easier. You know, it doesn't have to be about the actual product. It's about the value you're delivering to your customer. And that is sexy to a customer, whether it is the right size box, might not sound sexy, but it definitely is for our customer. And being able to having it delivered on time, delivered at the quality they want, making their ordering process as smooth as possible. You know, it's about putting their needs ahead of any other Just if I was just going to give you a specification of a bottle, we'd all be running for the hills saying, no, no, thank you. Terrible marketing. But if I'm showing you value, then yes, that's where it becomes interesting. So keep focused on that customer. That's the best advice I can give you.
Kristina, that's been brilliant. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your advice. I think there's so many people that can kind of get a little bit too caught up in the latest AI technology and agentic AI agents this and marketing that and TikTok Shop Live this, and actually going back to the core principles of knowing your customer, speaking their language, giving them the opportunity to be heard, and ensuring that you add value to them throughout the acquisition kind of journey. I think that's some real core principles that a lot of us could have done with that reminder. So thank you so much again for coming on to the Wise Build Bridges. It's been valuable and really insightful having you with us.
Thank you very much, and thanks for giving me the opportunity. It was lovely talking to you.
Kristina, have a lovely rest of your day.
All right, thank you very much.